taking the time to acknowledge somebody, it's very important culturally. Homesickness is definitely a thing. Yes, it's hot and humid.
In today's video, we'll cover all that and more.
Hello, and thanks for tuning in for part 2 of our CSUIP Alumni panel for Ghana. So in this video, we'll be talking about our host culture, cultural adjustment and well-being, as well as daily life. So we've got a lot to go through. And this is some really fun stuff. And I'm really interested in hearing more about Ghana and what Julie's experience was like. So just as in part 1, as a disclaimer, this information and our experiences that we're sharing it is accurate as of the time that Julie went abroad. So by the time that you go, some of these things might have changed. These videos are about sharing our experiences. And for the latest information, refer to our website at csuip.calstate.edu. That's where you'll get academic availability, qualifications, and the things that you need to do for study abroad. This is just about our experience. So keep that in mind as you're watching. And Julie, if you could again give an introduction of yourself, your name, your CSU campus, as well as the year that you went abroad.
Hi, so Julie Vargas here. I go to Sonoma State, is my home campus, and I studied abroad 2019-2020.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about host culture. So were there big no-nos when it came to host culture? Yeah,
so Ghana is a very religious West African, it's very religious, and sometimes you have to be aware of the fact, like maybe on a Sunday, a lot of these churches and groups meet outside, so you should be respectful of that, making sure that your shoulders are covered, not dressed inappropriately. That is definitely something that you should be aware of, is like because it is hot. If you're wearing shorts and short things, make sure they're not too tight, they're loose fitting. You're still respecting the culture that you're in, because it's not like the US, it's different. Having loose fitting shirts, not just showing all of your areas to everybody, men and women. Just being aware of your clothes. If you're in a certain situation and you need to be more modest about certain things, to have a shawl or have a jacket. Yeah.
And definitely. And so you said this is in the outdoors. It's not like in a building, just in general.
Well, it depends, because a lot of some Ghanaian students will ask you if you want to go to church with them. And, you can always say no. That's up to you individually. But in those situations, or when you're going into a small, the program offers field trips.
Okay.
And sometimes you go into smaller villages, and those women are typically covered, more covered from like head to toe. And, just not showing the midriff or showing, your shoulders and being exposed.
Definitely. And that's just in general, not just on worship days.
I would guess.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just.
Just be cautious.
Tell people not to wear what they want to wear, but just being cautious of
and being aware of culture.
You're in a different culture, yeah, very much.
Definitely. Okay, so tell us a little bit about other, important manners, acceptable behavior. Oh, you already talked about appropriate jest. Are there gestures to avoid, as well as, eye contact? How is there significance with eye contact and other nonverbal communication?
Yeah, I feel like something that is really important in Ghana is that they are, I mean, again, COVID is happening now, but it's important to greet your elders, to say hello, good morning. You don't really think about it when you're walking in the US, you're just walking and not saying hi. But you can be walking in the morning and someone you don't know is greeting you and saying hello. Sometimes they are older and it's seen as not respectful if you don't say good morning or wish them hello and ask them how their day was, because that's just something that is normal to them. You don't have to tell somebody to be like, hello, I hope you have a great day today.
And so these interactions, are they, more slow and you actually take the time, or is it just like, the US, like, hi, how are you? Doing well, how are you? And you move on?
Yeah, it's slow. I learned a lot about patience, taking the time to acknowledge somebody. It's very important culturally in Ghana. Like one time I was walking to class and I saw a professor. And he said, hello, good morning. And I said, hello, good morning. I shook his hand. He asked me how my day was. Like, I took a cultural heritage class and he very much instilled that, like, you have to take the time to acknowledge the people around you. And when you're walking around campus, you see people. There's a lot of vendors out. A lot of the people are older than you because you're on a college campus, and they expect some sort of like acknowledgement.
That's really awesome. And how do they deal with time and promptness? Is it okay to be late? Is it more laid back? How is it?
Oh, yes. Time is very laid back in Ghana. And time is more of a concept of like morning, night, evening.
Just like big categories, anything in between.
Yes, you have your classes. I'm always the person that has to be 5 minutes early. So I would have my classes start at 9:30. I'd get there at 9:25. We wouldn't be starting class until like almost 10,
Okay.
But it's I personally thought it was like, I still liked being there early, but your teachers, you'll start to see the pattern, and they'll come in 10 minutes late, 15 minutes late. It's not like the US where like 15 minutes, your professor isn't here, you gotta go.
You go, yeah.
No, you're waiting for them. It's just how it is.
And do classes end on time?
Yeah, they do. They'll end on time, but they won't start on time. That's nice, because they know that you have other classes to get to,
Good to know.
They keep you later than they want you, but they do have a slower start, and it is the whole, like, also acknowledging, like, before you even begin class, like, how are you, like, getting things ready. It's different.
That's great. So, what about major holidays? Were there, big ones that maybe we don't celebrate in the U.S. or celebrate differently in the U.S.?
Major holidays. I'm trying to think. Oh, well, I think when you're there, the major holiday is like Thanksgiving and Christmas time.
Okay.
Your program always does something nice to celebrate Thanksgiving, so you'll have that sense of community. But Thanksgiving isn't like something that they celebrate in Ghana. So if you start talking about Thanksgiving,
so it was just the CSUIP group.
the international programs that were from the U.S. definitely did something to celebrate that. I think we get President's Day off in Ghana, their President's Day. So there's that, but those are
the big ones.
I had too many days off because of like.
And you mentioned Christmas. So how did they celebrate Christmas?
So Christmas is not traditionally like, oh, let's sit by a Christmas tree and open a present. Ghana's Christmas is let's go out and go to these events and I'd be outside, listening to music, kind of like a party almost, a celebration.
Is it just the day of Christmas, or do you have stuff leading up to it?
It kind of was more like Christmas Eve. They do something, and then it's like Christmas Day, and then Christmas Day I kind of just celebrated with my friends, the international students that were still there, because it's like that weird time where CSUIP is still there, but the other international students,
they just did half the school year,
half semesters. So it's just you know, you're probably gonna miss some things that you if you stay, because some people do take that time to travel, which is also a really good thing to do during that time, because winter break is really long in Ghana.
So tell me a little bit about school schedule of when it began. Okay.
Yeah. So you finish in first 2 weeks of December with finals.
Okay.
And then you don't come back until like the first week of February.
Oh, that's nice.
Pretty much December, January. December, all of January.
And so where did other students travel to?
I had some friends that went to London. I had a friend that was in Germany. Yeah, so I stayed in Ghana and I traveled throughout Ghana. So
nice.
To Western Ghana, all the way like back to like the mid central Ghana, and then back down to Accra. So.
And did you do it with an official group, or you just organized it yourself?
No, this was just with some friends. Because that at that point there wasn't a lot of students, so we were just like, what should we do to pass the time? So we went on some trips. We went on a beach trip. That's pretty.
So how difficult was that to arrange?
Not too difficult. Traveling it's different. You'll start to, I guess, during the time that you're there, there's these like bus systems that can take you like further distances within Ghana, and those, they're called the VIP buses, so you can get like schedules for that. And I feel like it was more of like, you just go and when you get to the places. Most places have availabilities at the hotels or the hostels or whatever. I wasn't traveling big. I was traveling to experience in the sense. Ghana is, that's what it is. It's like you're traveling for the experience, and you're traveling to be luxury. It's like we're not that's not the point of it. So, but traveling, you just have to do it. Just do it once, you understand, and then the next time when you plan a trip, it's way easier, faster, and you're like, oh yeah, now I remember that person. So
so how do you feel in terms of safety and traveling, and did any of you do solo travel or anything like that?
I traveled in groups of small friend groups, so we were never like by ourselves. I think that's just nice to know that, you still have your someone.
You can rely on somebody else.
I also thought the best time I travel, like the easiest traveling experiences were when I went with like a friend that was Ghanaian. Because, they know the area, and they can help you more often, help you with certain things, and like taxis and getting transportation and the whole, all the things. But it's, you can do it. Like you just have to do it. You have to plan the time that works for everybody. That's like, okay, I have these 3 days off, or I have this weekend, let's go on a trip. And I felt comfortable, but there's always the things of don't have your money, don't be flashy, don't travel with a lot of stuff and jewelry, keep your money close, be aware of your phone, all the precautions people should take. But it wasn't like, I didn't feel like uncomfortable or unsafe while traveling.
Awesome. So, you already talked about religion in daily life. What was the attitude towards Americans?
you're in Africa and you're an international student. So it's more of like I want to know more about you. I'm fascinated. Like, tell me about your culture. Tell me, how do we exchange? What your life is like. Get a little bit of what you're doing. But I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. Happens.
So they're interested in your life and what life is like, perhaps in the U.S.
Yeah.
Would you say that? Oh, were there other international students from other countries that were there?
They're Ghana. I think I want to say they get 80 different countries. We did a whole thing, and all the international students came, but the way that the hostels are set up is that I was with all of the American and Canadian students, and then all of the European students are in one, and European and Asia are all in one, and then so we're next to each other, but we're like kind of separated.
Your main interaction is with U.S. Canadians.
U.S. and Canadians. So, but. Yeah, so there's that like separation, but we all go to the same international IPO hall. So when we are there and they have like events for us to all like get to know each other, like I made friends that are from Amsterdam, Norway, like all over the place, not just the US and Canada.
Awesome. So your classes are predominantly with international students or other Ghanaian students?
Other Ghanaian students, yeah.
Okay.
I think I definitely was in some classes where I was the only international student.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty much, it depends.
You get a mix depending on which classes you take.
The CSUIP program, I think for Ghana, requires you to take the language course, which is Tree. And you take that with the UC and the CSUIP students. So you have that. You have a class with the people that you're living with. So but the majority of your classes are in the campus with Canadian students.
Okay. So you have English classes and then you have language classes. Are there options to take college level classes in the Ghanaian language?
I think that most of the classes are taught in English, just in Ghana regularly. But I was in a class one time, and like I said, I was the only international student, and sometimes they'll just change the language, and they'll start laughing, and they'll look at me, and then I'll be like, ha ha ha, like I'll play along, and then they'll explain it to me, and then there's that, but most of the classes are just taught in English.
Okay. Was there any, difficulty with academics because of a language barrier other than, the occasional language switching?
For me, not personally. I actually thought it was kind of interesting just because there's moments where they're talking, because I took a playwrights class, and they're talking about plays that they've grown up with and literacy that they know and all the things, and I didn't. And it could be a disadvantage, but it's also a really great opportunity to learn.
Definitely.
So that's just how I took it, and it was like, okay, now I have to go read up on this play or learn about this, and at the end of the day, it just ends up being more of an advantage just to learn more and about the culture.
Definitely. So I would love to spend more time on host culture, but we have to move on, and we're going to be talking about cultural adjustment and well-being. So, as however much you're comfortable with, talk about illness or depression, loneliness, whether or not, you had to go to a clinic, how easy was it maybe to find a hospital, as well as homesickness and what it's like to, communicating with home, how often you were able to do it, if you could speak on those topics.
Yeah. So illness, that So illness is a thing, like, because you are in a foreign country, there are bugs that can give you illnesses, and which is malaria. So that's why you have to take malaria pills, my friends. Take them. You have them either weekly or monthly.
Okay.
And that is one of the biggest illnesses people, suffer like in Ghana is like, they get malaria. And it's fine. It's like having a really, really
And do you
bad
look for it yourself, or does the program provide
No,
it?
the program makes you get malaria pills before. Like, it's part of one of the checklist thing items. That and your shots, your immunization that you need to get. And homesickness is definitely a thing. You're there for a few months and you're on this high of like, I'm in a new place.
Yeah.
Everything's new. Everything's amazing. But then you're like, oh, my family, I miss them. And that's where, like, FaceTiming, texting, I would try mine, but like, there wasn't like a week that would go by where I wouldn't communicate with someone from home. Like, you get access to internet that help you set everything up, and shoot a text message, send a Snapchat. Like, we all have social media, and then direct message that reminds you of them or something. So I still was connected with my family, even though there was the time difference. They would just get things super late in the night. But I tried my best to stay communicative with them. When you do travel, sometimes you don't have internet, and that's when it's really important to be like, hey, I'm gonna be home. I'm gonna be gone like for a week. Don't freak out. I'll text you when I'm back. Like, all the things that you need to do to like remind people at home that you're okay is really important.
Yeah, I remember in pre-departure orientation, they were telling us, be sure to tell your family if you're not going to have internet or you're not going to have service, to let them know, because they'll be like, it's been 3 days. I haven't had a text or anything from them. And they might be worrying, and then they'll contact CSUIP freaking out. So please text your parental units, your siblings, your family, friends. Let them know you're safe and alive. You're safe while you're abroad, but for them it might be scary that, oh no, my child is in a foreign country, and not knowing what's going on with you. So be sure to communicate back home. And there is a note at the end of the slide saying limiting your contact with home will allow you more time to engage with locals with your host culture. So how would you say, like, the balance of making sure that you're really interacting with the people in your host culture, but still keeping those connections alive at home?
Yeah. So yeah, that goes into like the time difference, I think, kind of helps with that. 'Cause, right before bed, you like send a message, but the majority of the day, yeah, I'm at school, I'm doing what I got to do, but I do connect and just send a message. I wasn't calling them every day. Like, that's really difficult to do. And like being super involved or super like trying to get someone to contact you, like sometimes you have to wait a few hours, and that's okay. So I think it was just like getting used to that. And like, now I should pick up my phone, call my mom whenever I want. But when you're there, yeah, taking that time to be like, I don't need to call them. I can call them later. I'm just going to experience this now and like have fun and do what I'm doing. It is important to do, and not to like overly be connecting.
Definitely. And I would say, like, have that conversation with your family and your friends in terms of when you want to communicate, as well as how much you want to communicate. I know some of my friends, they set aside, blocks of time of like, every Tuesday I'm going to call you and this time, and they would be talking for, 3 hours. But sometimes it's just, hey, I'm getting dressed, I'm getting ready for school. Let's talk right now. I'll only be able to talk for 5 minutes, but let's talk real quick, have a quick chat, and then say goodbye. You can also fit them in while you're doing stuff in day-to-day things. You don't have to block out this huge amount of time to be communicating back home. So, just have that conversation, and just so they know how often to expect your communication. And I just had this this app that a friend recommended me. It's called Marco Polo. And so pretty much like you record a video and then like you're just like, hi, how are you? And then they watch it whenever they're ready, and then they record their videos talking back. So I thought that was kind of cool. This is my first time using it. So look into, other communication apps, whether that's social media, video chatting service.
The app is a good one that a lot of people probably will download when they're abroad.
Yeah.
Like
Yep. For us, we use Line a lot. So WhatsApp, Line. There's a bunch of different ones you might want to check because like Line is really popular in Asia. So depending on what your country is, there might be apps that are more popular to use. So I think that's we covered a good bit about that. Let's talk about daily life. Oh, so weather. What was the weather like? I know you mentioned modesty in clothing, but how did the weather also affect your clothing?
Yes, it's hot and humid, my friends. It is hot and humid. I lived in a dress. The flowiness, the breathable cotton, those things are very important. It is very humid, so black clothes can humidity and moisture and all this stuff.
So maybe more colorful, lighter clothes?
Lighter clothes. You don't want the sun absorbing and making you hot. One day I wore an all black outfit and was like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? So, definitely went back and changed into a white t-shirt and felt way better. But it's just the heat, the humidity is definitely something that you have to get used to. And once you get accustomed to it, you get used to the heat. For sure.
And did you buy your clothes in Ghana or did you bring them from home?
I brought a lot of my clothes from home. I did get some stuff made because Ghana, there's a lot of like hand, like seamstresses. And
that's really cool.
Yeah. So the things that you do get made, which is awesome, is like handmade stuff. There's always there's a few people that come to the hostel and will show you the stuff that they make, and you can get tube tops and different they sell shorts and jumpsuits and overalls and all the things, the different African print, and those are really good because the material they use is good for the weather that's out there. So I did get a few custom pieces, some dresses, some throwovers. But the majority of my clothes was the clothes that I brought, and I tried to just pack like basics that I knew would be light and lightweight, and like knew that would be good for the hot weather.
And how long would you say like getting clothes made? How long and how expensive are those?
It takes about, depending on your seamstress and how much work they have for that week, it could just be 1 week. You go, you tell them what you want, you look at the fabric that they have out, they'll measure you, and everything gets made to your measurements, and it's like maybe a week or two, depending on what you get and how much you get later. And buying something that's handmade, you would think that would be more expensive, but it's just as much as buying like a t-shirt or a shirt or clothes that you would get out here in like comparison of price. Yeah.
The more I hear about Ghana, the more I want to go. Just the idea of getting tailored clothing is so nice.
Yes.
So let's talk about clothing. So you did mention modesty. What about like for like length of clothing? Is that something to be careful about as well?
I mean, yeah, just don't have anything too short that's like showing things that you don't want to be showing.
Okay.
But no, there's really no length. You should always something you should pack swimming clothes or clothes for the water, because with the traveling you might end up at a beach, or the program takes us to a few places that have like pools and things like that. So
definitely
that is something to remember.
Okay. So let's talk about food and drink. What did you usually eat?
Rice, meat, protein, plantains, fruits, lots of fruits, yummy fruits, tropical fruits. There's the market called the night market that's right down the way from your hostel, and there's stands set up. The best breakfast is an egg sandwich and a mango. Grab yourself a fresh juice.
Mangoes. Oh my goodness.
Mangoes.
That sounds awesome. And what about dietary restrictions in terms of like for people who have allergies or are vegetarian? Are there options for them?
There's a vegan spot in that night market that you can go to. A lot of people loved his food. He made really good juices. There's that vegan option. The program is very, like, if they know you have dietary restrictions, whenever they do cater food, they'll make sure that there's something for you. I know I had some friends that were having problems with like the being vegetarian just because the finding protein out there is a little harder because the protein that you do get is in the meat. But if you really are in that diet, you can always go to the mall and find yourself your supplements and all the things. But you just have to look for it, be aware of it, let people know, and there are options.
Just out of curiosity, do they have tofu readily available?
I don't know. The vegan guy would put tofu in all of his food. Like he would make a salad and throw some tofu on top, like rice thing and like the
Okay, I ask because I'm vegetarian and tofu is my favorite lean protein. And so I love putting tofu in everything.
I feel like at the markets you could find it too.
Okay. So you mentioned night market and then occasionally if you want something more specific, perhaps the mall. Were there like American Western food
there's
stuff?
actually a restaurant on campus that is has more. There's other restaurants that are on campus and small little eateries inside of the halls and things like that. But there is one restaurant and it has like pizzas and burgers and chicken and all the fun American things. And
so if you're homesick and you want something, you can there's places you can get it. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about transportation. You did already mention I forget now if it was in part one, the being able to travel and having the long distance buses. But for day-to-day transportation, how did you get around? And did you travel outside of campus?
Okay. So transportation taxis are a really big thing. You can take a taxi anywhere on campus for 5 CDs. You'll find out how much that is. But you can get a taxi to take you on campus anywhere. You can take a taxi outside of campus as well. There's Uber. There's Bolt, which is the Ghanaian version of Uber. There's Trotros, which run through the school that take you out. There's a bus stop that you can go to outside of the school, which is what a Trotro is, pretty much like a bus stop. And those are public, and you can get on one of those and it'll take you to the mall, take you wherever you need to go, depending, there's lines and all the fun stuff. But you get a little tour with your CSUIP counselors the first week, and they'll take you on a trotro and help you like understand what the people are saying because there's a lot of yelling involved. And so you get a little bit of that the first week there before you just take off and like figure out how to use the transportation system by yourself. And
was the transportation a big portion of your budget, or would you consider reasonably priced?
It was reasonably priced. It wasn't too bad. I never thought twice about like, I have to pay for transportation. It was a good price.
Okay. Sounds good. And what do people do on their free time? Talk a little bit about leisure activities, recreation, maybe hobbies or clubs on campus.
Yeah. So, leisurely, there's always like people coming to your dorm and like, do you want to join this team sport? And like you could be the part of like the Isha swim team. So there's that, like they'll get you involved. I mean, religion, like I said, is a really big thing in Ghana. So there's all the clubs, all the different types of religions you can go. People have prayer circles every night. Those are things that you could do if that's what's interesting to you. Being in the hostels is very much leisure. I could just go outside and I'd find somebody and we just talk the night away. So there's that. Where you make so many friends that you hang out, and I don't know. We would just hang out in the hostel. We'd go to different parts of the campus and like sit outside. There's always soccer games or basketball games, and you could just go see sporting events. The sports are really big at that school. The hostels also have this thing called hall week. So each hall throws like it's kind of more like a food carnival, I want to say.
Ooh, that
so
sounds good.
Food outside, they have music playing. Sometimes they'll have like TV projector and they'll have a movie on. So each hostel has that going, and you can go to that hall week for that week, or you could go to So there's always a lot to do, and you just have to keep your ear to the ground. And people post signs. They'll be like, "This is what's happening this week."
Just watch out. Somebody will invite you to something.
Yeah, someone will invite you to something. Sure.
Awesome. So we're coming up towards the end of this section. And you mentioned doing the hostels. Were there other housing options?
I believe so. I think you just have to like ask. I know that you can do some like where you have a host family.
Okay.
But you just have to talk that out with
CSUIP.
your program. And then sometimes there just isn't enough space in the international hostel, and they'll put you in a different hostel, and you'll still be with an international student, but it's like the Ghanaian hostel, so like the majority of the students are Ghanaian. I had some friends that were living in there and they really liked it. They didn't feel like anything different.
Okay.
And then I know if you are older and you have like a family, we had like a mom and her daughter, and they got them like a setup that had like a more of like a kitchenette in the living room and then a room setting. So there are options available for accommodations that are needed. You just have to.
And did your hostel have a shared kitchen? What was bathroom, kitchen, shower like, and laundry?
You share the kitchen. You share the restroom/shower. They're all together. The laundry, they'll give you a demo on washing your clothes. You hand wash your clothes in Ghana. They'll give you a demo on how to hand wash your clothes. But our hostel also has a laundry service, and you could take your laundry bag. They weigh it. They tell you how much it weighs, the cost, price point, and then they wash your clothes. And like 2 days later, you can come pick it up. I personally liked doing that. That was just me. There are some times where, I would hand wash my clothes, but nothing like a good machine.
And then would you also have to hang dry them?
Yeah, you have. Okay. There's a whole section in the hostel that has hang drying. We have poly tanks when the water does go out, because that is a thing that happens. So you got to be aware of that. Which are by where you wash your clothes, and it's just a giant tank full of water. So there are options, and there's other laundry services, not just the one in international hostels, but throughout the campus. And
Awesome. So could you mention a little bit about internet, phone service? Did you have to get a phone contract?
So if you go with an unlocked phone, you can easily get a SIM card and add however many minutes and how many gigs of internet you want. but I did not have I took two phones, my iPhone and an unlocked phone. So for that phone, I got my chip and I had my Ghana number on it, and was able to do all the things that I needed to do to be able to contact people that were in Ghana. And then I also had my iPhone, and I used it kind of like with Wi-Fi only. And they have hotspots that you can get at the mall, which I loved because I'm very much need to use my computer to just type and do my homework, and also watch Netflix and TV, just to escape sometimes. So I got one of those hotspots, and you can reload them. You can add internet, and it's more than just like 1 or 2 gigs. You can add gigs, or you can do a plan where it's like the whole month is covered. And those are a little more, they're more pricey, but you can connect up to 5 devices. So you can have your phone on it, you can have your computer on it. Like, I thought it was pretty.
Or could you like split it with other students and just
you could also split it. Like me and my roommate at one point, mine stopped working and hers would work, so we would split the month, and we'd both use the hotspot. So
that sounds like a really good option. And so for the phone, was it just load as you go, or did you have to do a longer contract?
No, it's they give you a SIM card, you pay for the SIM, and then you pay for however much internet minutes you need. And I got a small amount just to start it off. And then when I started realizing how much I used it, then you could just go back and like load. Maybe I need more internet time and less phone call time, you know?
Yeah, that sounds great. And you really get to customize it to what your personal needs are. And so when you were communicating back home, I'm guessing you did it over Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So that's it for daily life. So in this section, we covered host culture, cultural adjustments, and well-being, as well as daily life. Do you have any last words on any of these topics?
I just think that Ghana is a really great cultural experience. You do have culture shock, but you learn so much. It's so rich in culture, and it's a great experience. I definitely recommend anybody that has some sort of interest in it to look more into the program, go on the website. They have so much information, so much helpful information on their website. The campus is beautiful. The food is amazing. You get to watch amazing dancing, because dance is amazing in Africa, West Africa. West African dance is beautiful. But I think that everyone if you do go through this program, you have to be patient, be aware, and be smart. All the things that you need to do to be a safe traveler. But it's definitely worth all of the experience that you learn from going.
Definitely. Thank you so much for spending this hour with me and sharing your experience with prospective students. So Julie and I both went during, the 2019-2020 school year. So our programs were cut short, but I think we share the sentiment that it was, with all the chaos that went on, it was still totally worth it. Study abroad is really a great experience, and like we said, with CSUIP, it is an affordable option where your finances still go through your CSU. So talk to that about with your advisor. Talk about classes. Julie is still taking major classes when she went abroad. So study abroad isn't something that will, that has to delay your graduation plan. If you plan and make sure that your classes are relevant, choose your program wisely. This can help you with graduation and still get, that experience that a lot of people, once they graduate, they don't have this opportunity to just go to another country for a year. And, you can travel within that same country like Julie did, or go abroad like her classmates and visit other countries. And you can also make friends with your host country, as well as other international students who are also visiting that country. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. For the latest information, like I said, check our website, csuip.calstate.edu. It'll have all the program information on there. And thank you for spending this time with us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.